I have written here that 7 clubs voted for you.
I don't really recall. A majority, I wouldn't.
7 clubs, 4 against,
Hmm.
and 3 remain neutral.
So, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Let's say 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Do you think the relationship changed from 3 years ago till now? With
You need to ask them. I feel that I have.
what do you feel?
I feel I have a good relationship with all clubs. They know what I stand for. So I think some of them thought that I would be going in to sort a ceremonial post to boss my way through some sort of getting free tickets at FIFA or UEFA. When in fact I think we've delivered many changes. We made the infamous new format for the league. We've announced and secured the financing for the new stadium. We've made the league more sustainable. We're getting more money. We're monetizing the product, which is the Malta Premier. So I think results speak for themselves. I like when I'm met with skepticism. So that's the best starting point. And now I think we have delivered, and the Malta Premier League is anything but a political association. We don't do politics, It's
Why football? Why? Okay, not because you like it, but
no. I
why?
was I was asked by a couple of clubs whether I would. So basically, two clubs came to me and they told me, look, we feel that the MFA is taking us for a ride, rightly or wrongly, whatever. The relationship wasn't the best. I think the relationship is much better right now. So they told me we don't trust each other as clubs. So we always start off well, but at the
Business.
middle of the season, it's more about emotions, I would say, rather than
Makes
business.
sense. Makes sense.
It's much more, and that's one of the problems with local football. If local clubs had to take decisions more based on business sense, they would cooperate much more with one another. Most of the time, the good and bad of local football is that there are so many emotions. There are irrational decisions that are taken. And they told me, we will never agree amongst each other to have one of us lead us. We need someone from outside who has experience in
Leadership.
sorting out a mess. And maybe you have enough time or you're
Take it
crazy
on.
enough to do it. And I loved the challenge. It was a sort of different challenge. It's a world that I was always intrigued with. It's something I love, and it's a product I believe in. It's something that I think that um, it was really undervalued. And it wasn't because of the FA, because the FA has other priorities. It has national teams, it has the infrastructure, it has the other
The
leagues.
youths. What about it?
And the clubs, I think they had it too good for a lot of time and saying, blaming the FA. So this was part of the program that the FA president had, of divesting the FA from the league. I do think that there were people who were thinking, this will fail, but I think
As always.
we have proved the naysayers wrong, and it has become, I think, one of the most important elements in local football after the federation.
What's your next step? Is it okay? So you're into football now. Is it something that you're looking to expand apart from business side, just as profession? Are you looking into
No, not really.
foreign?
I
Because you like football. You explained to me
No,
last
I
time.
like football. I actually had an occasion to sit on the board of one particular football team. Unfortunately, because of my court case, it didn't materialize, because I need to wait for this to finish before I can take up such a post. Um, So I don't exclude that eventually I might end up somewhere in some system, but I don't see that locally. Let's put it that way.
Because it would be interesting. It's a
It's
very different it's a very different
I don't see it
scene.
that different. You know, I see it as really and truly, unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, it has become very mainstream when it
Mm.
comes to as any other business. It has to do more with money and less. So, why I said, unfortunately in Malta, if it was a case of uh, more rational and business oriented decision making, clubs would work better together, and it's more about emotions. That's also the good thing about local football. Those sort of emotional parts, emotional experience, are being divested from most
What's
of
so different? So you experienced both. What's so different?
it's the business model is built on the appreciation and value of assets, whether the assets are the physical assets, being the stadiums, or the human assets, let's call them that way, the players, player trading, buying at the lowest possible price, and then selling at the highest possible price. So most of the teams, fortunately and unfortunately, it's something I don't subscribe to that much, but it's the reality. So if I'm a supporter of a team, I wouldn't want that to be my team. But most of the teams would, rather than spend, if they had, a budget of 50 million, they'd rather buy 10 5 million players with potential, knowing that the law of probability will give them at least one champion out of them, another 2 or 3 decent players, and 5 will be, fodder for the machine.
Exactly.
And then they would make the value added out of those players and resell them at a higher value, um, coming up with
It's a business,
it's a business.
which people don't get.
No, but
Not many get.
that's the business. So that's why they still have the 50 million, but rather than going for 25 million players, uh, it's a huge risk, because one,
It's a human at the end of the
it's a
day.
human. He can not perform very well, and reselling for more than the value, which the value, by the way, people think if you buy someone for 25 million, you need to sell him for 30, 40, 50 million to make a profit. It's not the case. There is depreciation on a player. So if you sign a player for 5 years and the value is 25 million, and you sell him on the fourth year,
For 25 million,
you can
20.
sell him even for 7 million. You make a profit, because the value of the player goes down in the books of the club each and every year. So basically, after the first year, it goes down to 18 million. So if after the first year you sell it at 25 million, you're making a 7 million profit.
Okay.
So it's not that easy to understand, but the money is there. So most of the clubs are more interested in that sort of thing, rather than the sporting the sporting side. The problem is that without the sporting success, then the following
It goes together.
will dwindle. But then again,
It's a mentality
it is
that
a
you need to
mentality,
change, and it's hard to change.
and it's also a totally different. So football is changing. Football is changing in many ways, and sport in general. First of all, football is not competing with football. Football is competing with other types of entertainment. The CEO of Barcelona said our competitor is Netflix.
Wow.
So, and that's so true. it reminds me of when the then CEO of McDonald's had said, "We are not into catering. We are into child minding. People come to us mostly because their kids like it, and their kids stay quiet for half an hour. The fact that they like our nuggets doesn't mean that we have the best nuggets in the world, but they like our nuggets and they stay quiet for half an hour. That's our service. We are into child
Do
minding.
you think
We're not into.
that's what makes business?
No, it is. I'm saying it's changing. So think of Barcelona thinking that their competitor is,
Not Real Madrid.
that's not Real Madrid, it's Casa de Papel on Netflix. You choose how to spend 1 hour, whether to watching an episode in a series or watching Barcelona play. And that's that's how the market is changing. The OTT, the over the top content, the platforms. It's you're making this choice. It's not between one team and the other, one match and the other. It's between one form of entertainment and the other form of entertainment. So that's one mega trend that exists. The second is that you don't have a spectator that is watching you for a full 90 minutes. People are mostly engaged on other platforms at the same time. So most of the time you are hearing a game, listening to a game, a commentary, looking, but you're engaged on your mobile phone. So how to have the two connected to one another? How to increase the content? So the multi-platform user basically is where the new value added needs to be
For sure.
created. So
You create as much assets as possible.
totally. If you're playing fantasy, if you're chatting with your friends on a particular game, if you're betting, it's about connecting all the different platforms together. And the third mega trend is there are less and there will be increasingly less supporters of teams and more supporters of players. Those who will move from one team to another depending on where the Haalands of this world or where the Mbappés of this world will move. So today I am a Real Madrid fan. If Mbappé moves to Manchester United, I become a Manchester United fan because I'm essentially.
Do you think it's the case?
Yes, it is a trend. It's a trend that was started mostly by Ronaldo and Messi. So they you you will find kids who won't say, who do you support? Oh, Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
Who do you support? Messi. That's the trend. That's the trend. Okay, right now with the big stars, but it's a big. So the Ronaldo club is probably bigger than any other club in the world.
If you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, and that changes the dynamic, changes the force. Okay, we're saying about one megastar when confronted with millions of other players, but it's still symptomatic of a change in dynamics that is the first time that is happening, at least in football. It happens in other places. It happened before in the United States when it comes to NBA. LeBron moving teams and getting
Exactly.
the supporters with him. It's happening in a way in Formula One. Lewis Hamilton changing teams and carrying some sort of sway with him.
Sure, it's true.
It's starting to happening in football too.
Last question of football. Do you think if Malta take on this mindset of getting a few stars, which is very, very hard, but if they get 3 stars to the European,
That's one of the things I'm really pushing. I still haven't convinced yet on that because you would need
money,
but
infrastructure as well, and most of the time.
yeah, you would need a lot of things, but that is so coupled with we will soon be announcing some major incentives to playing local talent, because I don't believe in the sort of punitive approach, but rather incentivizing the clubs in a monetary way to playing younger players, and the infrastructure will now really be beefed up. I think from next season we will see a substantial increase in the number of local players that will be
That's great.
played. But at the same time, then I think the next phase would be having the marquee signings. I would love to have at least one per team. You're too young to remember, but at the time, it's still our water polo league has some of the best players in the world, because it happens off season to mainland Europe. But at the time, the water polo clubs, I would say, so this is beginning of the 90s or end of the 80s, they used to have one superstar per club. I do remember names of Apanasenko, Kolotov. Those were
The world champions, most of them.
yeah, exceptional players. So I'm not saying, you know, we get Haaland here. I'm saying, you know, that every team should aim to have a player who is in his late 30s, who has played in one of the big 5 leagues and can serve as a pole of attraction for the young kids, reflect his work ethic on the others, and we would all up our game together. So that's something that is in the pipeline for me.
Hey, I'm Luca, and this is our clipping channel. On this channel, we're going to be sharing some of the best clips that come out of the conversations from our main channel, Champions Connect. If you want to see more clips understanding success, stories, experiences, subscribe. But if you want to see the full conversations and you want to learn the story and implement that into your life, subscribe to our main page, Champions Connect.